Hey what is up people, my name is Teja and you're watching TechRaj YouTube channel. So I know PUBG has been a very big thing in the recent times. There are many people playing this game, and this game is now extremely popular. Like everyone is playing it, especially after the release of the mobile version of PUBG, which is called as PUBG Mobile. This game just went so high. Like people are just addicted, and to be honest, even I am a PUBG addict. Like I should play PUBG right after I finish making this video. Anyways, so yeah, PUBG has been a very popular game, and I don't know if you guys have noticed any hackers who might be taking advantage in the game. Like for example, killing someone without actually aiming at them, and some or the other way. You might have noticed some hackers who are actually playing the game, who are taking advantage, and who are just cheating in the game. So personally, I did not come across any hacker until now, but I've seen many YouTube videos where hackers are actually cheating in the game, and yeah, so I decided to just just dive into how hackers actually hack PUBG game. It might be PUBG, it might be Fortnite, like basically any game like PUBG. It can be PUBG Mobile, or it can be PUBG PC, anything. So I have did a little bit research about how hackers are able to hack into PUBG and how they are able to cheat, and I have found some information which I would like to share with you all. So I'm making this video. Let's get started. So first of all, before getting to know how hackers actually hack PUBG, we should know how PUBG actually works. Like we don't need to know everything about how PUBG works, but we should have a basic idea about how PUBG works. So let me brief it to you. So first of all, PUBG is an online game, as all of us know, right? So you can actually play multiplayer with your friend, which means like you can team up with your friends and you can play against random strangers from across the world. That is how PUBG works, right? So when I say online game, it means that this game is actually communicating with a server, and that is how this game works. So basically, first of all, you log into Facebook, or you create your user ID, your player ID, and you team up with your friend. And when you're playing a game, when you went to the game, you find 100 different people, like 100 strangers from across the world. We know the story of PUBG, right? The last one standing is the last one to get the chicken dinners. How this actually works is, when you're installing PUBG Mobile from Play Store, what you're downloading is the game, the maps, which include Erangel, Miramar, Sandhawk, or Sandhawk. I think you have to download it externally, but basically all the maps are included when you're downloading the PUBG Mobile from Play Store. So it includes the maps, it includes all the guns, like all these images, the guns and how they perform, and all those properties of the guns, and it includes all those houses and stuff, and basically everything that you see graphically in the game is included when you're downloading the game itself. So when you're playing the game, these maps, these guns, they're already saved on your device. So what happens is, when you're starting the game, it just appears like that, like they're already saved, so they don't need to be downloaded from the internet each and every time you play a new game. So that is the whole point of it. When you're moving from one location to another location, your location coordinates are going to be updated to the server. In this way, when your location coordinates are sent to the server, this server is going to send it to all the people who are actually playing the game. And in that way, all the people in the game can see that you are moving from one place to another. Same is the case with when you're shooting, or when you're jumping, or when you just prone or crouch, anything. When you're doing some action in the game, this action is actually updated to the PUBG server, and the PUBG server is going to send this action of yours to all the people or all the players who are around you, and in that way they can see what you're doing. So this is how PUBG works. Like even when you're shooting someone, the location coordinates to the point where you're shooting, where you're aiming the gun, is going to be sent to the PUBG server. And from there, if in that particular location coordinates in the direction where you're aiming and shooting, if there exists an enemy, then the enemy's life or health is going to be decremented, and this all happens in the server side, and this doesn't happen on your device. So what I'm trying to say here is PUBG is an online game. It communicates with server, but 75% of PUBG is actually offline. All the maps, guns, houses, etc. It is actually offline. The rest 25% is actually being updated every time, and this 25% includes, you know, your movements and your shooting and all that stuff, like the play zone, all that stuff. It is actually being updated from the server in you know, like every second or something like that. So this is a general idea about how PUBG works. So now let's think about hacking PUBG, like cheating in the game. Like, I do not encourage anyone to cheat in PUBG. I'm making this video only to, you know, to just give you some idea about how things work, right? So now let's think about cheating in PUBG. How do hackers hack PUBG and how do they cheat? So first of all, let's talk about health. Can they actually be a hack where your health is unlimited? Just think about it. I have told you already that all this health decrementing and incrementing, it happens on the server side, which means it's not happening on your mobile or on your computer. So basically, you cannot do a hack where you get unlimited health because it's happening in the server side. You do not have any control over it. So if you want to do a unlimited health hack, then you want to hack the PUBG's server, which is not very practical. You know, you have to be an expert to do that. So obviously you cannot do an unlimited health hack. And then take this, like for example, you're opening your browser and you're opening facebook.com, and you all know about this inspect element thing, right? You just right click and select inspect element, and there you can change the HTML of the page, and once you change the HTML of the page gets updated, and you know, you can just put in whatever text you want, whatever the images you want there. But what you're actually doing is local to your computer only. It's not updated on the server. Like whenever you refresh the page, everything is going to get back to normal. Like, it only appears on your device, on your laptop. So same is the case with PUBG. You know, what you can do is you can actually change what appears on your screen. That is it you can do. You cannot just hack into PUBG server, and you cannot do an unlimited health hack like as I've explained before. So we can change the way things are appearing on the screen, and thus we can actually take advantage. I mean, not we, the hackers. So for example, we can make all the enemies in the game look white in color. In such a way, you can identify, or you can locate an enemy from miles apart, like because he is absolutely in pure white. You can actually locate the enemy. So wherever you see white in the game, it means that there is an enemy there, and you can shoot there. So this is how hackers can take advantage of the thing. And also, if you're seeing an enemy is moving in your location, like around you or in your surroundings, it means that you're actually receiving this data of the location coordinates of the enemy from the server. So the PUBG server is actually sending you the data which contains the location coordinates of the enemy and his movement direction and all that stuff. It's going to send this data to your PUBG mobile application, which is installed on your device. So this PUBG mobile application which is installed on your device is going to interpret this data which is received from the server, and it's going to show it graphically. It's going to show how and in which direction the enemy is moving around you. Like, you can see the enemy moving in that way. So obviously all this data is being received on the server. So the hacker can also take advantage of this, since he has the exact location coordinates of the enemy, because all these location coordinates, as I told you earlier, are being sent from the server. So obviously you can take advantage of this. For example, whenever you see an enemy, obviously you begin to shoot, right? So what the hacker can do is, since he has the location coordinates of the enemy, you know, he can take these location coordinates of the enemy which are received from the server, and he can he can assign them as the location coordinates of the direction in which he is shooting. Like when he does this, what it means is in whichever direction he shoots, it's going to hit the enemy, because what he's doing is going to take the location coordinates of the enemy and is going to assign these as the location coordinates of the direction in which he is shooting, right? And when these location coordinates of the direction which he is shooting is sent to the server, obviously in that location coordinate the enemy exists. So which means whichever direction he shoots, it's going to hit the enemy, and this is what they call aimbots. And also a hacker can also take advantage and see through the walls. Like for example, if the enemy is behind a wall, a hacker can actually see that enemy through the wall. Even though the wall exists, he can shoot through the wall, he can see through the wall. And how does this happen? Well, as I've told you, all these walls, houses and stuff, they're actually saved on your device. They're offline on your device. They're not anywhere related to the server. The server has nothing to do with those walls and stuff, right? So obviously he can change the color of the wall, or he can make the color as, he can reduce the opacity of the wall. Like he can reduce the opacity to 0%, and in that way he can actually see through the wall. Completely possible. So yeah, there are lots of other hacks like this which are available on the internet and which actually enables someone to cheat in the game, right? So obviously all the hackers that you are seeing in the game are not hackers at all. They're just script kiddies who are using the scripts which are written by some other people. Alright, so now that we have discussed about how hackers can take advantage in the game, let's actually discuss more about how can hackers do this. Like how can hackers change the values, how can they decrease the opacity, or how can they change the color of the contents on the map or on the screen. How can they do this? So first of all the hacker needs to do is to root their Android device or to jailbreak their iOS device. And by doing so, by rooting your Android phone, you completely get the options to disable all the security measures taken by Android, and you will have full developer access to your phone, which means you can absolutely do anything. You can let an app do something which is not allowed by Android initially. And once he roots his Android mobile, he can now access all the memory memory addresses of the Android device. So all these memory addresses, by the way, are specified with hexadecimal values, which look something like 2000H, 2001H, something like that. They're all hexadecimal values. So each hexadecimal values represents one memory address, and in each memory address there can be a data. It can be an integer data, it can be a float data, it can be a DWORD, and there are various data types that actually exist, and in each memory address there can be a data, right? So this is all you want to know in order to understand this video. There are memory addresses in every computer, not only in Android phone. In every computer there are memory addresses which are represented by hexadecimal values, and in each memory address there exists some data, and the data is stored there for processing or to access or anything. The data is stored there, right? So yeah, as I was telling, the hacker first needs to root his Android phone, and once he does that, he will be able to access and he will be able to modify the values present in a particular memory address on his Android device. So what he can do is he can simply write a script which will automatically scan the memory of the Android device, and once it scans the memory of the Android device, it will now have all the values that are stored on all the memory addresses of the Android device at that particular moment. So when the hacker opens his PUBG mobile app on his rooted Android phone, he opens this script or he opens this app, whatever, and he scans the memory. Once he scans the memory, he's going to get the results, like he's going to get all the memory addresses, and he's going to also he'll also be able to see all the values, maybe the float values or DWORD values or whatever the data type values which are stored in that particular memory addresses. So he will now have all this information with him. So now all that he need to do is he need to just change or modify these values. The PUBG mobile, which is running on any device, what it's going to do is it's going to interpret the values which are stored at these memory locations, and based on these values only it's going to display things on the mobile screen or whatever. So when a hacker changes the location, or sorry, when the hacker changes the values at these memory locations, the game is obviously going to interpret these values, and the modified values are going to be interpreted by the game. And in that way, you can actually make changes to what you are seeing, the contents you're seeing on the screen. So in the same way, he will be able to make all the enemies white in color. So let me explain this to you with an example. Let's consider there exists some enemy, like there is an enemy roaming around you, and the enemy is wearing, let's say, green dress, green shirt and green pant, and this data is sent from the server, like all the data about the enemy, like the color of the dress is wearing, the the protection is wearing, and all that stuff is sent from the server to our PUBG mobile, which is installed on our Android device. So let us say that the green color is indicated with a number 5. Let's say 5 indicates that let's say 5 indicates green color. Okay. So this value 5, which indicates green, as soon as it is received from the server, it's saved in one of the memory address in your Android device, so that it can be processed and it can be interpreted or processed by PUBG mobile app, right? So as soon as this is saved in your memory address, as soon as 5 is saved in your memory address, if the hacker knows the memory address where this 5 is stored, he can go to that memory address and he can change this 5 to something like 0. For example, let's say 0 indicates white. Okay, so once he changes it to 0 and once he saves it, green is now going to be white, and in that way the enemy is going to be white in color. So that's how it works. That's how simple it is. It's not very simple. You know, in order to write the script, you will have to work really hard. But obviously, there are many scripts available. For example, there is this memory scanner called Game Guardian, which actually does all this stuff for you. It actually scans the memory, and it does basically everything. But you might also be thinking about this thing. Like as I've told you, you are going to receive updates from the server, like for every second or so. So once you change the value to white color, like for example, once you change 5, which indicates green, to 0, which indicates white, again it's going to be refreshed, if you notice, because as I've told you, every time interval you're going to receive update from the server, like you're going to receive data from the server, and every time you receive the data, this previous data which is stored in the particular memory address is going to be taken away, and the new data is going to be fitted in there, because this new data indicates the new state of the enemy, or new state of the tree or the house or whatsoever, right? So obviously, even though you change 5 to 0, again after 1 second or half a second, it's going to come back to 5, because the server is going to send new data values, right? So how do hackers fix this? Alright, so what they do is they actually keep a script running in the background which will automatically change 5, the value 5, which indicates green, to 0. And please note here that the values 5 and 0 are just taken for example purposes. They are not at all accurate. I'm just taking them to demonstrate it to you. So please keep that in mind. So anyways, as I was saying, a script is running in the background which will automatically change 5 to 0. Automatically, every time the data is refreshed, it is again changing it to 0. It is again changing 5 to 0. So it keeps on doing this until the game is running. So in that way, the character continues to be in white color. So even though the server is refreshing your PUBG mobile Android app, the changes still persist. They do not vanish off, because the script is automatically changing all these values, right? So that is how it works. And same is the case with wall, seeing through the wall and shooting through the wall. You can just find that particular value which is associated with the wall's color, and you can find that memory address of the value, and you can go to that memory address and you can change the value to whatever you need. So yeah, that is how hackers actually hack PUBG and they cheat in the game. I think I have given you a basic idea and basic understanding about how can someone cheat in the game and take advantage in the game. So yeah, I think that is it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new. If you like this video, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up below, and also please comment down below how you think the video is. Well, anyways, subscribe for more awesome content. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, cheers.